welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Here we are with a very special episode. Another one of these things that I do. Do. Another one of the things that I do. Okay. I'm sorry to waste your time. Hey, listen up. We have a special interview. That's not a waste of time. Why does my voice sound like this? We're drinking a lot of water. I don't know. Maybe I'm tired. We have an interview today with a comedian. If you watch the YouTube channel Dry Bar Comedy, you might know him. You might have seen him on tour. He's a very funny comedian. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm not going to speak to people who aren't funny. So me saying somebody is funny, while it is a compliment, it was pretty much the baseline. You just got to be funny for me to talk to you. This man's no different. His name is Jeremy Alder. He has a brand new record coming out as of this recording in 2 days. As of this release in 2 days. The new album is called Almost a Grown Man. Jeremy Alder is a funny guy. You can watch his stand-up right now on his YouTube channel. See him on his Instagram as well. Just to get a taste of who he is. This is his debut album, Almost a Grown Man. It's coming out from our friends at Blonde Medicine. Not my friends. I've talked to a lot of comedians that they've released. Now, he talks a lot about being homeschooled, the religious elements that came around that and his upbringing. Marriage, remarriage, fatherhood. He has a lot of kids, I believe. I believe he has 5. Don't quote me on that. He started comedy 10 years ago, and he's got a lot of great jokes. I'll say this. He's a family-friendly comedian. He did a stand-up set on Dry Bar, which you can watch right now. It's about half an hour, almost half an hour. And I don't want to paint him. I don't want to paint anybody as a clean comedian. I will say he's a family-friendly comedian, wherein he does talk about things that are a little bit more adult. He does have gun jokes. He does have some sex jokes, some drugs, all that stuff. But the direction in which he swings is a little bit more clean. Family friendly. Either way, he's a funny guy. His album was recorded in Hillsborough, North Carolina, where he lives. He also hosts a monthly stand-up showcase there. He's been doing so for about 7 years, which is crazy. And he'll bring in as many comedy names as he possibly can. His words, not mine. He says he wants to bring comedy to the sticks, which is great. He talks about all manner of things on stage, as I mentioned before. And you know what? Quite frankly, he's a nice guy. I learned a lot about him over the course of the 20 minutes or so we spoke. You should check him out. Anyway, this is a great conversation. Almost a Grown Man will debut wherever you find your comedy specials. I hit the mic. Wherever you find your comedy specials, you can listen to it. Apple Music, YouTube Music, as we've learned in the last couple of interviews, you can get comedy on YouTube Music. Don't know why you wouldn't be able to. Spotify, wherever you get your music. You can buy wherever you get your comedy specials, which is also now wherever you get your music. You can also buy Almost a Grown Man wherever you buy your products. If you want to see a video version of this interview, go to youtube.com/C+comedy, where you can see a video version of this interview, as well as the other interviews, as well as the podcasts, Late Night Lately, The Constitutionals, and LinkedIn Logs. Follow Jeremy Alder on Instagram at Jeremy period Alder. Check him out online at jeremyalder.com. See where he's touring. He's touring around a lot. Now, get ready for this. Jeremy Alder. And thank you for sitting down with me today. I know these things can be a pain, but I do my best to make it not so.
No, I'm excited about it, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, of course, of course. I just I watched a lot of your stand up, including that dry bar set, and I gotta say, congrat like that. That's a huge thing. I know a lot of people do the long sets like that, but man, yours was so very funny. Every single second, there wasn't a time where I wasn't laughing. It was amazing.
Oh man, thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm really proud of that one. Yeah.
That's good, as you should be. I mean, you were able to, punctuate a lot of the jokes with more jokes. There wasn't wasted space, and it really felt like you things were really planned. And how long did it take you to get to that point of making something like that? Because I'm sure it took a while.
Yeah, well, I was about 8 years into stand up when I did that. So that was 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And yeah, man, it was a lot of work. That was um 8 years of, countless open mics and bar shows and brewery shows and just building a set, little chunk by chunk.
Yeah.
Some of those jokes, I think I wrote my second or third year into doing comedy, so I had been doing them a long time. And the funny thing is, of course, I think a lot of comics experience this. As soon as I recorded that set, I had all these new tags and ideas for how to make all those jokes better.
Yeah.
So, that's always the risk of putting something down like that on a video or on an album or something. Is it, you know, it's kind of now it's out there,
Hmm.
but um yeah, but that was a lot of fun. That was a really cool experience. It's a completely, I don't know how much your listeners know about dry bar comedy, but they're very, very strict about content, so it's all clean. Um, and it's supposed to be, something that your kids could watch and your grandparents would enjoy. And that's certainly not all of my material, because not all of my material fits that. But thankfully, I had enough that fit within those parameters, and I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. Yeah.
Was it? I spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago who put out a dry bar set, and it took maybe a year or two for theirs to be released. Did
Mm.
they take yours immediately, or did they have to sit on it for a little bit?
It was a few months. It wasn't a year. I think I filmed it in April and it was out in August of
Okay.
that same year. Yeah, but I've heard stories of, 2 or 3 years await for some people. And, Dry Bar, they kind of took off. They kind of blew up during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they also apparently they got backlogged. They just filmed a bunch of specials and then
Mm.
had a hard time, I think, keeping up uh putting them out. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so uh I was sad to hear how many people who have had to wait, a year or longer to see it. But yeah, thankfully mine didn't take that long, and it's done pretty well, so I'm pretty happy with that.
It did very well. I mean, even the audience listening to them just laugh at the jokes. It's just I love finding people in an audience that have annoying laughs, but that means that they're enjoying themselves because
Yeah.
they lose themselves within the comedy, and it seems that you revel in it too because you kind of talk back to the audience at points, and I really do appreciate that because it's as much as you are putting on a performance and you're doing these jokes, there's also a little bit of reciprocal nature because you want to feel the goodness that you're giving them too when they laugh back at you, not laugh at you, but laugh with your jokes.
Yeah, of course. I feel like I really I lucked out with that crowd. It was a really hot crowd that night, and we filmed two sets, but it was just one night.
Hmm.
And sometimes there's that risk that you're going to get a crowd that's just either not that into you or just tired or just not into the show at all. But that weekend, for whatever reason, in Provo, Utah, people were ready to laugh, and I was pleasantly surprised at how from the get-go people were on board with what I was trying to do, and it just makes it fun. Once your first couple of jokes hit, I feel like the nerves go away and you can settle in and really have a lot of fun, because it's easy to
Hmm.
put a lot of pressure on yourself when you get an opportunity like that. Or at least I did. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself because, you get, like I said, it's one night. So you get like one
Yeah.
shot and you just really, really want it to go well because you don't know when you're going to get another opportunity like that. And yeah, thankfully, um, we had a whole lot of fun. I think it helped actually the first set that I did, which is the set that we ended up using for the recording. Um, I did my first joke and they didn't turn the mic on.
Oh,
And so we had to stop the whole thing,
wow.
reset. I had to go backstage. They had to bring the host back out. They had to settle the crowd and then start it again.
Oh.
And I actually think it helped because when I came out that second time, I feel like the audience they were rooting for me,
Hmm.
because they saw. And so I actually, if you know, when I first walk out, I actually tap the mic before I say anything, and that immediately gets a laugh.
Yeah.
And so I knew from that point, I was like, okay, I think this is going to be good, and yeah, it worked out.
What an interesting situation. It's like icing a kicker. You know, we have
Yeah,
we have 10 seconds left in this game and one field goal is going to win it, and then the other team calls a timeout. That what a crazy thing, but I mean, you defied the odds when it comes to that analogy and you won them over again. What's it, as a touring comedian and feeling pressure when you're doing dry bar for these two sets and it's going to be recorded and put out, and then you have almost a grown man, you're going to record that night and probably doing two sets and picking and choosing from there. How do you get past that pressure when what's that for you, that motivation to go, well, I mean, I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm ready for these jokes to be put out. How do you get past that initial thought of things that are holding you back?
yeah. That's so yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Almost a Grown Man, that's my new album, which will be dropping shortly. And this is the first full album that I've put out,
Mhm.
but it's the second one that I've recorded. And I recorded one 2 years ago, and I didn't end up releasing it because I feel like, well, I had one shot at that one. I did one show, and I could tell I was really in my head. Again, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. And when I listened back to it, I just didn't sound like myself to me. I sounded very kind of uptight and
Hmm.
mechanical, and uh, even a little nervous. And I was just really not happy with how it turned out. So I ended up not putting it out at all
Hmm.
and waiting another 2 years to record what is now Almost a Grown Man, this album. And what I learned from that first experience was do at least two shows, because if you're just doing one set, that's just too much pressure for most people. And there's
Right.
just too much of an, if you're recording, I did a full hour. And so there's just a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong.
Yeah.
And so having a second, knowing that you have another try at it, just kind of helps you relax in that first set. And yeah, and it did. I mean, it worked for me. The first set went good, but once I had that kind of done, I just felt like, okay, this second set, no matter how it goes, I know I've got one in the tank that I'm happy with, and so I was able to relax even more. And we ended up using the second set for the album. And yeah, man, it's just a lot of it too is you know, who your openers are
Mm,
and how they set the show up for you. That's another thing that I learned. Um, it's just really important that, the audience is ready for you when you get up and they're not in a weird mood, or the host has not said something that kind of put the a weird, kind of vibe in the room, which can
right.
happen. You've
Yeah.
done enough shows. So just having, openers that you're really confident in to get people warmed up is really important too. So
Are you at a point where you could pick your opener? Are you like, is that the time kind of clout that you have right now?
I don't know if it's but I mean, I know enough, at least locally. So
Okay.
I recorded that album in my kind of my local comedy scene here in North Carolina.
Okay.
And so I had two of my friends that I think are hilarious. And so Josh Rosenstein and EJ Masacampo, shout out to those dudes, hilarious, and they did a great job setting things up. I recorded the album right around the corner from my house.
Oh,
So I live
cool.
in a small town in North Carolina, and I decided that I wanted to do it here. I've been running a local kind of monthly show for the last 7 years in town that's kind of built up a
Wow.
local following. And so I wanted to record here, and it was great. It felt like a community event. I mean, the mayor came out, all of my like regulars that come to my show every month came out, friends, neighbors, people from church,
Whoa.
the barista that I see at the local coffee shop, like all these people came out, and it was great. My kids were there, my family was there, so it made for a really kind of fun, uh, intimate vibe.
Hmm.
You know.
All right. Here's a two-part question on that. With the house like that, stacked house, what was the response and the end? Did people come up, pat you on the back, say, "Good job, kid. We're proud of you"? And then on the other hand, on the other end of that, how did your kids feel about seeing you do work for like the first time? It's like watching, when LeBron's kids, I guess, see him play for the first time all those years ago, and now we've got Bronny in the league playing with him. So
Right.
how was that? Like what was that?
Yeah, well, my kids they've all seen me before. In
Okay.
fact, I've taken them when I've traveled for shows and stuff. They've come with me before, and so they were pretty familiar with my material, a lot of which is about them.
Right.
And so that's what made it interesting. So a lot of the comments I got after the show were about my kids, and like, are your kids okay with you saying that about that? I can't believe you said that when they were here, um, so I got a lot of that, but my kids are totally into it, and I don't say anything from stage that they object to,
Mhm.
or if it makes them uncomfortable or they don't like it, I won't do it. So I'd run everything by them. Also, my wife. I have several jokes about my wife, and
Right, right,
she's
right.
of course I'm not gonna spring those on her at the album recording. She was well aware of what I was doing, and was totally on board with it. So
That it's so fun. It's so interesting because I love seeing people go out with their kids and tour with them, if they're musicians or comedians or anything. I watch a lot of golf, so sometimes yesterday Justin Thomas won the RBC Heritage, and his wife brought their baby out there, and I just went, that baby's not going to know anything. That baby just thinks that they're out on vacation doing something.
sure.
It's so fun just to see people tour like that. But I'm glad your kids and your wife are enjoy your style of comedy. Because imagine
Oh, I am
being
too.
like a funny, like you're a funny person, and imagine how many dads are out there trying to make their kids laugh, and their kids get older and they don't think they're funny anymore. But you have older kids. I know you mentioned that in the
Yeah.
Dry Bar special, so at least some of them think you're somewhat funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really grateful because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I would do if they hated my comedy. That would be a real that'd be a real problem. I am lucky with them. they all enjoy stand up in general,
Hmm.
and have been on board with me doing it pretty much since I started. I will say this is a funny story. The first time I ever did a comedy contest, I was about a year in, and it was one of these audience vote situations. So to
Hmm.
move on to the next round, you needed to, have the audience vote for you. And so I invited my two oldest kids at the time, who were both uh, kind of late teenage years, and a bunch of their friends to come and see me. And did the show. I didn't move on to the next round. And my kids are very honest. And it's one of the things I appreciate about them. And after the show, one of them, the oldest, was like, "Dad, I want you to know you really did great, but I thought the guy with the big wheel joke was better, and so I voted for him." And then it turns out his brother and all of their friends voted for the other guy to move on, and so that was, I think, a good lesson for me, not to assume.
Uh-huh.
And also that my kids, are sometimes brutally honest, and
Yeah.
I appreciate about that about them, actually. And I haven't bought them Christmas presents since, but we'll we'll see. Maybe the next contest. So
I don't think they deserve them. I totally agree with you.
thank you, thank you.
They don't get anything for the rest of their lives unless they apologize. Then by
I
all
know, right? No, they were not going to apologize. They held their ground. So
means. Well, it's the American way.
that's
Uh,
it.
can you tell me about the monthly show that you host in your hometown? What is that like? What are you the one hosting it, or are you just a part of it, or are you affiliated with it?
Yeah, no, I host it, I book it, produce it.
Mm,
Um, and it's at a popular bar here in my hometown. And it's like I said, it's kind of become a community event. It's a small town. There's no other comedy that happens here, and so people are pretty excited to
mm,
come out for it. And it's grown from when I first started it, 7 years ago. I was just booking local people. I live near kind of Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and we had a good
okay.
number of pretty good comics. But over the years, it's grown in its reputation, and so now I can, book kind of bigger acts if they're coming through the area, and are willing to do kind of a smaller room, maybe work out some new stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll hit me up, and so yeah, it's been really cool. We've had some really really good comics that most people in this town wouldn't get a chance to see locally for 10 or 15 bucks or whatever,
Right.
so it's been great. I love it. It's allowed me to meet a lot of really cool people and kind
Mhm.
of establish a little outpost for stand-up comedy in the sticks.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
like that. That's it's a people need, some type of outlet in order to enjoy comedy instead of seeing the same people that they see all the time. That's really great. But 7 years, that's an amazing feat to continue doing it. Even, at a time when comedy was kind of at home during the pandemic,
Yeah,
and now to even still do it outside of that area, because how many comedy areas are still struggling after the
sure.
pandemic? I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Who are some of the people that you've been able to get, big or small, doesn't matter, just like some people who stand out in terms of doing this show?
Yeah, well, like last month we had Luke Severide, who is blowing up right now on social media. His thing is kind of like he's a big like metalhead, like heavy metal guy.
Hmm.
And so he's uh, kind of blown up in that kind of scene, and is now like opening for some pretty big heavy metal bands, which
Wow.
is pretty cool. So he's come through. Um, we've had Andy Woodhull, who is a brilliant comic, one of my favorite comics. out there. I wish he was better known. But I mean, he's done all the late nights, you know. And so guys like that, who were in the area, they were doing bigger shows
Hmm.
um, nearby, but were willing to come and do this little show in Hillsboro, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When I referenced the comedian whose dry bar comedy special took a little bit longer to come out, I was talking about Andy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
He's good.
that's interesting. I wonder because he's so good, you know. He would be one of the ones where I would think put this guy on the front of the line, you know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't understand it, but I found Dry Bar at the same time everybody else found it during the pandemic because
Yeah.
I wanted more comedy. And uh I think that with them having that backlog, as the way you put it, it's a you know, we you think about places like Netflix that are trying to be what HBO was, 30 years ago when they were the ones putting out just comedy, and now Netflix is putting one out every other day, it seems, one special every other day.
Yeah.
Um, I think there is a lot of space for somewhere like Dry Bar to put comedians like you and Andy up because there's just different forms of comedy. How many different forms of, reality competition show do we have? So
Right.
I think, a big fan of comedy should be able to accept all versions of it. And if it's comedy for that's driven for children, then it should be as widely watched or viewed as somebody who's going to watch the biggest comedian on Netflix. And yeah, I love the idea of comedy. I don't watch a lot of comedy because I talk to a lot of people in the world of comedy, and I don't
Yeah.
want to be influenced by everything that everybody says. But when I watch something and it sticks with me, then I really try to hone in on it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm grateful that this small town is they're like you. They're open to all kinds of comedy. And like you said, I mean, there's as many genres of comedy as there are music, you know.
Yeah.
And which makes booking a show a lot of fun. And I always tell people at the top of my shows, I usually book 4 or 5 comics each show. And I'm like, look, if you don't like one of these people, if they're not your particular style or cup of tea or whatever, just wait because you might like the next one. And if you don't like
Mhm.
the next one, you'll probably like the next one because everybody's different. Everybody's got a different perspective and a different angle. So that's one of the things I love about comedy too. It's just the variety and diversity in it.
So now that you're booking shows and you're doing your own shows, do you see how hard it is for somebody running a brewery, running a bar, running a stand-up showcase, and you're seeing both sides of that? Do you see where those people are coming from and also where you're coming from too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think booking stand up as a venue can be very risky. I've known, you know, plenty of places that tried having a stand-up show, and it was either just so bad or so offensive to their to their clientele that they had to stop. So um, I get the risk of it. I feel like if I had a business, if I had a bar or a restaurant, there's no way in hell I'd book a comedy show there. Like I would not
Oh,
take that
wow.
risk. I would not. I say that, but I mean I'm pretty serious because most local comedy is bad, if we're
Yeah.
honest. Like it is.
Hmm.
Most local comedy shows are bad. And you don't want to drive people away from your establishment. And bad comedy can do that, you know, because if that's the first time someone's coming to visit your bar or whatever, and they have a horrible experience, they're not going to come back. So yeah, I definitely see it from both sides. And booking a show it's a lot of work. I have a lot more respect for bookers and producers.
Mm,
Yeah, that's not the part of comedy that I love.
right.
I do it, uh, because I want a local show in my community, and I'm the only one here that can do it. So,
Yeah.
but it is a lot of work, and sometimes a lot of work with very little payoff. I mean, whether that means like it doesn't make a lot of money, and
Mm,
also sometimes people just don't turn up, you know, Comedy crowds can be very fickle, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself, especially if you have someone coming from out of town. You want it to be a good show, and maybe one month you have 50 people, and the next you have 20. And it's
Yeah.
just kind of hard to predict. So, um, but yeah, it takes a certain the fact that I've been doing it for 7 years. I don't know. Um, Honestly, if someone came to me today and was like, "Hey, we'd like to take over your show. We promise we'll do a good job," I'd give it to them tomorrow. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish like if I had a producer for this podcast, I'd be like, yes, go, please, please.
Right.
It's hard emailing people all the time and getting rejected.
Yep.
Um,
Sure. Sure.
you mentioned like local comedy can be bad. I remember I don't do stand up anymore. But there was a point where I was doing stand up and not regularly, just doing it.
Okay.
And I live in Atlanta, and there's a place called Laughing Skull Lounge,
Love that
and
club.
yeah, it's great.
It's
It's a
great.
wonderful. I've seen excellent people there like Jimmy Pardo, and I've performed on that stage for 5 minutes. But the last time I did it, I remember a guy. He did a very, I would say, D all around set, and it wasn't very good. And at the end, he goes, "You guys have been great. Let's take a selfie. Let's all take a selfie." And he spent 30 seconds taking a picture. I'm just like, dude, you have 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Like let's just do the show, do the jokes, and then you can. I think there's a lot of fame chasing sometimes when it comes to like what happens, not just comedy, but like music too. Like we
Yeah.
I think you have to build yourself up and take all the hits, all the worst stuff before you can, go out there and say, look, I've done something for myself.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know there's lots of people they get up, they do one open mic and they immediately, change their Instagram handle to comedian,
Yeah.
and start selling merch and stuff. Yeah, because I think social media has, it's benefited us comics in a lot of
Mhm.
ways, but it is also, I think, given the false impression that one, comedy is easy and you can do it fast, and also that it's like a quick route to fame and followers.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's not. It's a grind. It's like music. It's very similar to like local music. Most people that do it never end up doing it professionally
Right.
because it just takes years and years of just bad gigs and bad pay, and it's really like the people who make it in most cases are just the people that didn't quit, that
Mhm.
just kept going, because you will get better if you keep doing it. um, with some exceptions, if you have any amount of talent, if you keep doing it, you will get better over time, but it takes years.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 10 years in and I still feel like I'm figuring it out.
Mhm.
I feel like I've made progress, but I'm still like so far from what I want to be and what I think I can be. And it's just, there's no shortcuts. You can't
Right.
skip it. It's like you got to practice your instrument. And the thing with comedy is you can't really practice it privately.
No.
It's not like guitar. You can't sit in your room and learn chords. You have to do it on stage to find out if it's funny or not, if there's something to it. And that's where you have to work it out. And so yeah, it's just it's a long grind. And so if you're getting into comedy because you want to be famous or rich or whatever, man, I'm sure there's easier ways
Yeah.
to do it than stand up. I think you really gotta just love it. It's a disease.
Mhm.
It is a disease. Like it's a weird addiction that some people get, and thankfully most people don't get. Um, and that's kind of what keeps you in it. Probably most of us longer than we should, you know,
Yeah.
for our own mental health and for our family's sakes. Yeah.
But
So
you know you're making a living from it, and now you're putting out this album, and it's going to be great, and people can now, or listen to it wherever they get comedy albums. They can buy
Yeah,
it, and you're going since you had that dry bar special, that's a built-in fan base. You can just say, "Hey, I did this dry bar special, but also I got some new stuff back here, so check it out."
right,
Yeah.
right, right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of curious how the fans that I picked up from Dry Bar are going to respond to some of the material on this album because it is not Provo, Utah clean. Some of it is,
Yeah.
and generally I am clean, but there's definitely some material that pushes the line a bit, at least thematically, that they did not want me to do on Dry Bar. So we'll see. I'm happy with it. I'm proud of the work. It is who I am, and
Mhm.
so um, yeah, we'll see.
It's fair. Look, they've seen Succession. They watch all these other shows. They
Right.
know that not everything is going to be exactly made for them. So you're fine.
Sure, sure. I hope so. Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I appreciate you sitting down with me. This is great, and I can't wait to hear the album.
Thanks, Chad. I appreciate that, man. I really do. This was a good conversation.
Yeah, of course. Well, congratulations, and break a leg on the next big thing, and we'll talk then.
Okay, sounds good, Chad.
All
Thanks.
right. We'll see ya.